for Movies with Rhett Bartlett.
Hello, Miss Bloom, how are you?
Hi.
Have you ever made it down to Australia yourself?
I've been twice, yes.
Oh, excellent. Was that film related or?
It was, no, not film related. It was, the first time was to the Melbourne Festival.
Yes.
And I went to do a Shakespeare recital that I do, One Woman, etc. And also I performed with the Melbourne Symphony at that time, doing Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, part of it. It's a version that's written to be spoken over the wonderful music to Mendelssohn. Second time I went to Perth to do the same thing.
I'm intrigued to know how a young woman from Finchley, North London, ended up in Hollywood as Chaplin's leading lady at the age of 20.
Well, I'd like to know the same myself. Because it always seemed to me an incredible miracle. But, of course, it wasn't directly transported from my birth cradle in North Finchley to Los Angeles. I had done some things between. I played Ophelia, actually, at Stratford when I was very young, when I was 17, opposite Paul Schofield.
Oh, yes.
And I had been in two plays in London, Ladies Not for Burning and A Ring Round the Moon. And from there I was found by Chaplin, which has always seemed to me one of the great miracles of my life. Well, it has been.
Was he searching for someone and he came across you, or was he recommended, do you know?
He was searching for someone, and then he was recommended to me by a playwright called Arthur Lawrence, who'd seen me in Ring Round the Moon, in which I played a dancer, and he was looking for someone who could give the effect of being a dancer and play opposite him, so he didn't want somebody very tall. Fit the bill there. And English, preferably, though I think he did see American Girls, too. And I just seemed to be, as they say, the right person at the right time. Miraculous, marvelous thing.
It must have been. I can only imagine what it would be like to have met him for the first time. Do you recall that first meeting?
Of course. My mother and I was allowed away from the play. I was still in Ring Round the Moon for only a week by the management. And Chaplin actually said he would come to New York to meet me, which, I was nobody. I was 19. It was all overpowering and very frightening, and we flew, my mother and I, because he wouldn't have wanted me to come by myself, and he was at the airport. And I can tell you what he was wearing, a V-necked kind of turquoise sweater, and he had these beautiful hands, gesticulating and so wonderful to watch, and he was brown, and he had these tanned, because he'd come from a decent climate, and he had these incredible blue eyes. And he was Chaplin, and I was absolutely petrified. We got in the car and started to talk about London, that he hadn't been to since, I think, 1931, to my mother, much more than to me, because she remembered the London he remembered. And gradually I completely lost my fear of him. I never lost my awe of him. You can love someone and still be awestruck by who they are and what they've accomplished. And so it was always a mixture of that. I totally adored him from that day to the day he died, and now.
Was that the first time you had travelled overseas?
No, I'd been to America in the war as an evacuee for 2 years, from 41 to 43.
I see.
So, and I mean, I'd been to France and places, but yes, to America, yes, but I had been there as a child. It wasn't completely unknown territory to me at all.
Did Hollywood look anything like you had imagined?
Yeah, it always looks like you imagine.
That you saw in pictures?
Palm trees, long streets, a lot of pretty people, open cars. But the Hollywood I went to really with him when I went to make the film, the test was done in New York,
right?
As I said, was his Hollywood, his Los Angeles, his own studio, the Chaplin Studios that he'd built when he was, I don't know, in the 20s, I guess.
Yeah.
And his wonderful house and his wife and his 4 small children. And it was a world of his that I came into. I really didn't know much about outside. And I worked hard. I worked all the time with him.
How did you handle the fame at the age of 19, 20? How did you handle the spotlight?
I don't know. How do you handle it? I mean, it happened. It was very nice. I went on to the next job, which was playing Juliet at the Old Vic.
Yes, well, there wasn't really a rule book, was there? That, this is how you handle, the Chaplin and everything that comes with him and the limelight that sort of comes with him as well, is there?
No, but there was a lot of trouble, not only limelight at that time, because he was told by the American government that there's absolutely no problem about him re-entering the country if he leaves it and goes to London for the opening of Limelight.
Right.
And halfway across, everybody knows this horrible story, halfway across the Atlantic, his visa was revoked, and he couldn't go back. And after that, he never wanted to go back. Limelight was not shown everywhere because he was an American, if you can imagine. And it was fame, yes, indeed. I was on the cover of Time and Life. I can't say it wasn't. But that was scarcely it wasn't the most important thing for me. I was a very idealistic young woman.
It always interested me that Chaplin eventually returned to accept an honorary Oscar after...
He was 83.
Yeah, after what had obviously happened.
What did it matter?
Yeah. That's...
You know.
Yeah, at that stage of his life, yes.
Yes, what did it matter? Let them give it to him. I don't know how much it meant to him.
Look, and you're right, he lived until 1977. Did you stay close friends right up until his passing?
Well, with his wife, Una was my friend to the end of her dreadfully short life, but she was. And so, of course, through her. And I went there, and, in the last years he wasn't in very good shape.
Yeah.
But wonderfully, wonderfully taken care of. Always beautifully dressed with his little handkerchief, and his white hair beautifully combed. And he would sit in front of the fire and watch the television.
Oh, right.
And take whatever part he could take in the family life. He was not in great nick.
When he directed you in Limelight, did he allow you to ad-lib, or were there multiple takes? What was his style?
No, ad-lib, no.
You had to stay with the script.
He wrote the script. He wanted every single word spoken, and spoken as he wanted it to be spoken. And he would demonstrate how, and he would do it.
And it's interesting, I was watching Limelight again yesterday. The first part of the film, you spend bedridden.
Yes. Those scenes, all the scenes in his flat were shot pretty well chronologically.
Right, yeah. I'm intrigued if you have a favourite moment in the film. For me, it's when you, near the end, open up the stage door to hear the applause for Chaplin as he's on stage. A significant amount of your performance is almost like a silent film. It's the facial expressions. Yes. Do you have a moment in the film that you're endeared to?
Well, there are many wonderful moments in the film. Yes, I think my favorite scene is after the girl says she's walking, and when they're walking along the embankment, and she asks him to marry her, and he says, "My child, I'm an old man." It's a beautiful scene. That's my favorite scene in the film. But I love every moment of it. So it's a difficult thing to say.
The Australian newspapers at the time wrote this about your performance, which I thought you may be interested to know. They said that Claire Bloom gives a very moving and believable performance of a most difficult part, and that she plays with freshness and intelligence and takes every advantage of the opportunities generously offered by Chaplin.
Gosh, couldn't be nicer, could it?
What do you think of your performance in Limelight?
I think it's an amazing performance by a very young girl, and that you had to be a particular kind of young girl to give that performance, and he just chose the right person. I can't really go into it, but
sure.
His knowledge of human beings was extraordinary, and his genius was immense, and he saw in whatever I was then something odd and correct for him.
Also in the film is Buster Keaton. Did you have any memories with acting with him?
Oh, I watched those wonderful scenes being shot.
Goodness.
Yeah, because they were all shot in the theatre where we did the other scenes on the stage. And, God, it was incredibly funny. Incredibly. There is more. Obviously, it had to be cut down a bit. But he was wonderful, and Chaplin treated him, of course, with great respect, you know, as an equal. And was wonderful with him. And he himself was a very miserable man, just as his face is. And he, all I remember, the only conversation I ever had with him, he showed me this postcard of a beautiful Hollywood house, you know, white and palm trees and carry on. He said, "This used to be my home." Well, I gathered it wasn't anymore. But he was very lugubrious, and that was his kind of brilliance, that he made that incredibly funny, that side of him. It was very real and rather sad.
And then you had opposite you Sidney Chaplin as well.
Yes, who alas died very recently.
Yes.
Very, very gifted young man, very witty, very clever, very talented.
Yeah.
But I think he had too much too soon. You know, he had a lot of money. Chaplin gave him money when he was 25, I think. And I don't know, his life didn't go quite as it should have done.
Sadly...
He did some very good things on the stage. He was in The Bells Are Ringing and Funny Girl with Barbra Streisand. And then I think he just decided he'd had enough of it. And he didn't have to do it.
Sadly, also last year, we lost Cliff Robertson, who you acted opposite in Charlie.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Do you have a few memories of Mr. Robertson?
Well, mainly I was just so happy to see him again before he died, when he was still full of life and terrific, but obviously extremely frail. And he came to kind of, for lack of a better word, a tribute to me at the Actors Club. And spoke, and we spoke, and then I had a lovely, lovely letter from him. I hadn't seen him for many, 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 many years, and then he died. And I'm very glad that I saw him, you know, just before the end. You had to say how much I'd enjoyed doing a film with him, and how wonderful he was in it.
I marvel at the leading men that you acted opposite: Rod Steiger, Laurence Olivier, Richard Burton, Frederick March, Yul Brynner, and my favourite, James Mason.
My favourite too. Wonderful actor.
He is
wonderful, wonderful man.
Yes.
No, it's a good list, isn't it?
I guess you could say that. Was there anyone who you didn't get an opportunity to act with that you wish in the
Albert Finney.
Past? Albert Finney, right?
Albert Finney. I always wanted to do some play or a film or something with him. And I never did. I thought he was the great actor of his generation.
I looked at your filmography in the 50s and the 60s in particular, and each year had multiple appearances on stage or on screen. Did it ever get too much for you?
No. I loved to work. I was happy doing it. You know, I got tired sometimes, but it was good. It was good tired. It was tired from having done good things.
Oh, right.
And worked hard, and I was, you know, of an age, I was full of energy and young, and it was all wonderful. One thing came after the other. I thought that's the way it always was. They were great years. And
most recently, we saw you in The King's Speech.
Yes, and you did, which I've decided is an Australian film. Because they're your two great actors, Geoffrey Rush, of course, and Guy Pearce. And Tom Hooper is half Australian. His mother's Australian.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so I decided it's an Australian film. Anyway, I was in it.
Well,
it is an absolute terrific film. I didn't have much to do in it, but I'm glad I did what I did. But I mean, on paper there was nothing there.
Oh, right, yeah.
Frankly, there were just a couple of lines, and I wasn't so sure I wanted to do it. And then I realized my two sons were going to be Colin Firth and Guy Pearce. That sounded very good to me.
That's a bit hard to resist, yes.
pretty sexy pair. And it turned out to have a kind of resonance, I think, as much for who she was as what I did, if you know what I mean. You know, people read into it because she was, not perhaps in Australia, outside England, but in England she was a kind of known, kind of ghastly, regal figure.
May I just ask finally how you think your fans, or I should say, how you hope your fans will remember you?
Oh my God, I never thought of that. How will they remember me? They won't remember me. Actors are not remembered. So you know, you do your bit and you go.
But you have
might be remembered as a interesting presence. I don't honestly don't know. Ask me in 50 years.
Well, I think you have a wonderful film legacy that many people will recall. For me, it's been Limelight. For other people, it's been anything from Richard III to the Outrage or Alexander the Great. It's you see.
A Spy Who Came In From the Cold, I think, is in fact the best film I was in, as a complete film.
Right.
But I mean, yes, thank you, and yes, indeed, there are things I'm very proud of, and you know, as long as film, thank goodness, film is a kind of, you know, it is a memory of who you were, as long as it lasts.
Dial M for movies with Rhett Bartlett.